Okay, so if I were to ask you to close your eyes and picture the absolute biggest villain in your body, the guy responsible for all your misery during spring, who comes to mind?
I think I know where you're going with this.
I'm willing to bet good money the answer is histamine.
It is the usual suspect, isn't it?
It's got such a terrible reputation. You hear histamine and you immediately think enemy.
Oh, yeah.
It's the reason our eyes water, our skin itches, our nose runs. We just feel miserable. We spend millions on antihistamines just to shut this chemical up. It really feels like it exists just to annoy us.
It's so easy to feel that way, especially when you're sneezing for the 10th time in a row.
Right.
But what if I told you that histamine is actually a misunderstood hero?
You're going to have a very hard time selling that to anyone currently clutching a box of tissues.
Bear with me. Histamine is a normal, an essential physiological messenger. Without it, you wouldn't be able to stay awake right now. You couldn't digest your lunch.
Wait, stay awake. And your body wouldn't know how to heal a paper cut. It acts as this critical bridge between physiology, your body working normally, and pathology, which is, disease.
So it's not inherently bad. It's just complicated.
Exactly. It's a neutral tool. The problem isn't the chemical itself. It's the timing, the location, and the volume.
Okay, let's unpack that. Our mission for this deep dive is to trace the journey of this molecule. We'll start with the good histamine, why we need it to survive.
Then the bad histamine, how it causes all that allergic chaos.
And finally, the pharmacology, how drugs like antihistamines and, crucially, EpiPens actually work to tame it.
And this isn't just trivia. Understanding this one chemical explains so much, from why allergy pills make you sleepy to why an EpiPen can save a life when a pill is completely useless.
I do love a good redemption story. Let's start with the good stuff. You said I need histamine to stay awake. I thought that was coffee's job. Coffee helps, sure, but histamine is the original stimulant. In a healthy body, it has 4 key jobs. The first is neurotransmission. In your brain, histamine is what promotes wakefulness and alertness.
So my brain is naturally, squirting histamine around to keep me focused?
Precisely. It keeps the lights on. It's a stimulant in that context.
That actually explains so much because this is where it clicks for me. When I take an old school allergy pill and antihistamine, I get so drowsy, I'm literally blocking the very thing that's supposed to keep me awake.
You're connecting the dots already. That is exactly why those first-generation antihistamines are so sedating. You're just turning off the stay-awake signal in your brain.
Okay, mind blown. So that's the brain. What else does good histamine do?
It's a huge player in your stomach, gastric regulation. Histamine signals the lining of your stomach to produce gastric acid.
To help me digest food.
Correct. Without that signal, the little proton pumps in your stomach wouldn't know when to fire up and break down your dinner. And then, finally, it handles immune regulation and rapid defense. It helps with tissue repair and stands guard to kick off a defense if you get injured.
Wow. It's a busy chemical, a real multitasker.
It is. But to understand how it does all these different things, how the same key can, start your car but also unlock your house, we have to talk about receptors.
The locks for the key.
Exactly. Histamine is the key. There are 4 types of keyholes, or receptors, H1 through H4. But for our purposes, and clinically, only 2 really matter right now, H1 and H2.
H1 and H2, what's the difference?
Location and function. It's that simple.
Yeah.
H2 receptors are pretty much only in the stomach lining. Their job is one thing, gastric acid secretion.
Just the stomach.
Right. When histamine hits an H2 receptor, it's basically just ordering lunch.
And I'm guessing we have drugs that target just that H2 receptor.
We do. If you've ever taken something like Zantac or Tagamet for heartburn, those are H2 blockers. They stop the acid, but notice they don't make you sleepy or stop your nose from running.
Because they're ignoring the other locks. So that leaves H1.
H1 is the one you know and hate. H1 receptors are in the brain, keeping you alert, and in what we call the periphery, so your skin, your nose, your airways. When histamine hits an H1 receptor outside the brain, that's what drives all the classic allergy symptoms.
So H1 is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. In the brain, it's a good guy. Stay awake, be productive. But in the nose and skin, it's Mr. Hyde. Freak out and make a mess.
That's a pretty fair way to put it. And that brings us perfectly to the bad histamine.
Right, the turn, the shift from friend to foe. So how does the trouble start? I mean, pollen is a trigger, obviously, but it can't be just that, can it?
No, it's much broader. Triggers can be viral or bacterial infections, exposure to extreme cold, physical trauma, even certain drugs.
Okay.
But here's the key. All of these triggers lead to one single outcome: inflammation.
And histamine is the one kicking that party off.
It's the bouncer kicking the door wide open. See, histamine is stored in these special cells called mast cells and basophils. And the location of these cells is incredibly strategic.
Strategic how?
They aren't just floating around randomly deep inside you. They are packed near the border areas of your body.
Border areas? What do you mean?
Think about where your body meets the outside world. Your skin, the lining of your nose and lungs, right alongside your blood vessels and sensory nerves. That's where the mast cells live.
Ah, I get it. So they're like guards stationed right at the castle walls, not hanging out in the throne room.
Exactly. It's perfect placement. It allows histamine to act immediately upon an injury or an invasion. It is the earliest and fastest inflammatory mediator released.
That's why if you're allergic to a cat and you walk into a house with one, you don't start sneezing 3 hours later.
You start sneezing in minutes or seconds.
It's practically instant. Okay, so the mast cell sees an intruder, say a pollen grain, and just dumps a ton of histamine right there at the border. But I have to ask, why? Why did we evolve this system that makes us feel so awful over a little bit of dust?
That's the fascinating part. The leading theory is that this whole system evolved primarily to fight parasites.
Parasites, like worms.
Exactly. Think about it. If a parasite tries to burrow into your skin or latch onto your gut, you need a massive, violent local reaction to flush it out.
Oh.
You need to swell up to wall it off, you need to crank out mucus to wash it away, and you need to sneeze or cough to physically expel it. All of those are histamine actions.
So my immune system thinks that ragweed pollen is a tapeworm.
In essence, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a case of mistaken identity. It's an overreaction, treating a harmless particle like it's a dangerous invader.
Well, that at least makes misery make a little more sense. Speaking of which, let's decode the symptoms. I think it helps to know why we feel so gross.
It really does. We can break down the mechanics of misery. Let's start with redness and heat.
Yeah.
You get a mosquito bite, it turns red and feels hot. Why?
I'm guessing it has to do with blood flow.
You got it.
Yeah.
That's vasodilation. Histamine tells the tiny muscles wrapped around your blood vessels to relax. When they relax, the vessel widens.
Like opening the tap on a hose? More water flows through?
Perfect analogy. More blood rushes to the area. More blood equals redness and warmth.
Okay, that one's simple enough. What about the swelling? The hives? Those puffy, awful welts?
That is caused by increased capillary permeability.
Which means?
What?
In simple terms.
Okay, so normally the cells lining your blood vessels, the endothelial cells, are packed together tight like bricks in a wall. They keep all the fluid inside the vessel.
Right.
Histamine causes them to separate slightly. It creates tiny gaps between the bricks.
So the pipe starts leaking.
Yes. And plasma fluid leaks out of the blood and into the surrounding tissue.
Yeah.
That buildup of fluid is what we call edema. A hive, or a wheal, is literally just a little pocket of leaked plasma trapped under your skin.
That's charming.
Okay, next up, the itch. That deep, maddening itch.
That's direct nerve stimulation. Histamine literally irritates the sensory nerve endings in your skin. It's basically just screaming at your nerves.
That causes itching and burning.
Yeah.
And sneezing, too.
Yep. A sneeze is just a reflex to that same nerve irritation, but in your nose.
Okay. Runny nose.
Mucus secretion, stimulating the glands to produce more fluid to, again, wash away the invader.
And finally, for people with asthma, the breathing issues. This feels scarier than just a runny nose.
That's bronchoconstriction. Now, this is interesting. While histamine relaxes blood vessels, it does the exact opposite to the smooth muscles in your lungs. It tells them to contract, to tighten up.
Which narrows the airways.
Leading to wheezing and that feeling of breathlessness.
Man, it really is a full-body assault. Vasodilation, leaking fluids, screaming nerves, mucus overload, and tight lungs.
But if you look at it from the body's perspective, fighting that parasite we talked about, it all makes sense. It's trying to help. It's just...
Using a flamethrower to kill a fly. Exactly. So naturally, we want to stop it. We reach for the antihistamines.
The pharmacological fix, how do they actually work? I mean, we call them blockers, but is it that simple?
It's a little more nuanced. Technically, we call them inverse agonists.
Inverse agonist. That sounds intense. What does it mean?
Okay, think of the H1 receptor, not as a simple on-off switch, but like a dimmer switch that's always humming with a tiny bit of activity, even when it's off.
Okay.
Histamine comes along and cranks that dimmer all the way to 100%. A simple blocker would just put a piece of tape over the switch so histamine can't touch it.
Right.
But an inverse agonist actually grabs that dimmer and twists it down to 0. It actively shuts down even that baseline humming. It quiets the whole system.
So it's not just blocking the keyhole, it's gluing the door shut.
A pretty good way to think about it, yeah. But we have to talk about the first-generation antihistamines, drugs like diphenhydramine, the old-school stuff.
The ones that knock you out cold.
Right. And we already know why they block H1 in the brain. But the reason they can get into the brain is the interesting part. It's a property called lipophilicity.
Lipophilic, fat-loving, right?
Correct. Your brain is protected by this thing called the blood-brain barrier. It's like a super strict security checkpoint. But it has a weakness. It lets fat-soluble or lipophilic substances pass right through.
And those old antihistamines are fatty.
Very fatty. So they have a VIP pass, they slide right through the barrier, hit the brain, and boom, sedation.
So the newer drugs, Claritin, Zyrtec, they don't make you sleepy because they aren't as fatty and can't get into the brain.
Exactly. They are less lipophilic. They stay in the periphery, working on your nose and skin, but they just bounce off the brain security gate.
But it's not just the sleepiness with those old drugs. They have other weird side effects, like dry mouth. It's like eating cotton balls.
That's because we call those dirty drugs.
Dirty. That sounds a little judgmental.
It just refers to precision. A clean drug hits only its intended target. A dirty drug is messy. It hits your target, but it hits a bunch of other receptors too.
Okay.
First-generation antihistamines don't just block histamine, they also accidentally block another type of receptor called a muscarinic receptor.
And blocking those causes,
As we call anticholinergic side effects. Dry mouth, blurred vision, urinary retention, constipation, even a fast heart rate. The whole package.
Wow. So I take a pill for my runny nose and suddenly I'm sleepy, my mouth is a desert, and I can't see straight.
That's the trade-off with the older, dirtier drugs.
So for hay fever or hives, antihistamines are fine. But then there are times when they are not nearly enough. We have to talk about the scary side. Anaphylaxis.
This is a critical distinction. Anaphylaxis is a life-threatening emergency, and the most common and dangerous mistake people make is thinking an antihistamine can stop it.
Why can't it? If anaphylaxis is just a huge allergic reaction and antihistamines stop allergies, it seems logical.
The logic fails because anaphylaxis isn't just a histamine event. It's a multimediator event. When the system crashes that hard, it's not just releasing histamine. It's releasing prostaglandins, leukotrienes, cytokines, a whole chemical storm.
A flood.
A flood, exactly. And get this. Some of those other chemicals, like leukotrienes, can be 1,000 times more potent than histamine at closing your airways.
And an antihistamine pill only blocks the histamine.
Right. It's too narrow. It's like trying to stop a flood with one sandbag. All those other dangerous chemicals are still free to wreak havoc.
And I guess it's too slow.
Way too slow. A pill has to be absorbed. It takes 30, 45 minutes to start working. Yeah. Anaphylaxis can kill you in 5. You cannot reverse shock or a closing airway with a pill.
That's terrifying. So relying on a Benadryl in that situation...
A catastrophic mistake. We consider them adjuncts. You might give them later to help with itching, but they will not save a life. For that, you need the heavy artillery. You need epinephrine.
EpiPen.
Yes. Epinephrine is what we call a physiological antagonist.
That sounds fancy. How is that different from a blocker?
Think of it this way. An antihistamine tries to block the bad guy from getting in the room. Epinephrine doesn't care about the bad guy. It storms into the room and actively starts fixing the damage the bad guy caused.
So it's not preventing the reaction, it's overpowering it.
It's a physiological tug of war, and epinephrine pulls way harder. It has a 3-pronged attack. First, it's alpha-1 action. Remember vasodilation, how histamine drops your blood pressure.
Right, the bottom falls out.
Epinephrine causes intense alpha-1 vasoconstriction. It physically clamps those blood vessels back down. That instantly raises your blood pressure and reduces the swelling in your airway.
Okay, so it directly reverses the shock.
Then there's the beta-1 action. That works on the heart, increasing cardiac output, helping it pump harder to keep blood flowing to your brain.
And the third prong?
Beta-2 action. This is one for the lungs. Remember bronchoconstriction.
The wheezing, the tight chest.
Epinephrine causes powerful bronchodilation. It forces the muscles in the airways to relax immediately. It kicks the doors of the lungs wide open so you can breathe.
It really is the literal physiological opposite of the allergic reaction.
In every critical way. Histamine drops pressure. Epi raises it. Histamine closes lungs, epi opens them. That's why it's a physiological antagonist. It's not just blocking a message, it's fighting back against the physical collapse.
That is such a crucial takeaway. If someone is having a severe reaction, a Benadryl is like bringing a water pistol to a forest fire.
And it wastes precious time. Epinephrine is the only thing that matters in those first few minutes.
So let's zoom out. We started with histamine as our brain's natural caffeine and a stomach helper.
Then we saw it become this overzealous border guard, mistaking pollen for a parasite and kicking off inflammation.
We learned the mechanics of misery, why we itch and swell, and finally that while we can block it for minor annoyances, we have to physically overpower it with epinephrine when things get serious.
It really just highlights the delicate balance of the body.
It does. It's so strange to think the same chemical that helps me digest my lunch is the same one that makes me miserable when I cut the grass.
And that really is the final wisdom here. Histamine is not a villain. It's a tool. It's essential for life. It only becomes dangerous in excess or in the wrong place.
It's all about location, location, location.
Volume.
So here's a thought to leave you with. We spend our lives trying to avoid chemicals or toxins, but your own body is manufacturing one of the most potent volatile chemicals known every single day right inside your cells. The very molecule that keeps you awake is the same one that, in the wrong context, can close your throat. The only difference between a good day and a medical emergency isn't the chemical itself, it's just a matter of which lock that key happens to open.
A sobering thought, but a fascinating one.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll catch you on the next one.